The Egyptians have openly stated that they were afraid of the radicalization from the Muslim Brotherhood.
That's an opinion from the, because
Egyptians.
again, that's an opinion from the Egyptians.
They don't want the Palestinians to come in because of radicalization. It's just become so radicalized that there's no way to find a diplomatic way to get peace without violence.
We're outside of the School of Oriental and African Studies in London, asking 3 questions.
Answer them correctly, win £100. Let's do something. A 3-tier system. Question 1 easy, question 2 medium, question 3 hard. £20, £50, £100.
Fantastic.
You can pull out whenever you want for money.
Okay.
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 We ready?
But so quick question.
Yeah.
If I keep going, do I lose the money?
Yes.
Ah, okay, I see.
If you fail on 50, but you have 20, then you lose the 20.
Okay, fine.
Okay, you ready?
You ready? Let's go.
Question 1. What year was there a revolution in Iran where the IRGC took over?
Oh. You said easy, right? 1984?
Okay.
Mm.
1979.
Oh.
It's okay, we move on to the next one with the money still.
Fun.
But do you know anything about that?
I don't know.
About the revolution?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
don't know too, but I know, I obviously had a kind of rough idea in my head of when it was.
Do you know currently what's going on?
Of course, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, basic knowledge of, again, I try not to look too much at what the news is telling me. I know
Right.
that there's some underlying political issues,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say I particularly have
Okay.
a particular knowledge about it,
Okay.
if you will,
okay.
yeah.
Well, the current government in Iran, the supreme leader, and they're suppressing their own people. Women don't have rights. There's no freedom for gay people. There's no freedom of religion in Iran. Opposed to how it used to be when they were the leaders of civil rights pre-1979. So it's a very contrast difference of what's happening right now. And the people of Iran are protesting and trying to get their freedom back. So there's
Okay.
been mass killings in the streets
Yeah.
towards the protesters, which has been hard to see on the news, but you said...
Yeah, because it's all blackout, right?
Yeah,
And
it's all blackout,
yeah.
exactly. And the regime is killing people. You ready for the second
Are you
question?
from?
I'm not from Iran.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I am ready. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, second question. Recently, a country stopped sending students to the UK in fear of radicalization from the Muslim Brotherhood. Do you know which country it was?
United Arab Emirates.
That's £20. Adam.
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
Why do you think that? Why is that the case?
My personal opinion on
Yeah,
it is that I believe that the overwhelming majority of views from UK campuses is a very politically leftist
Okay.
kind of view, right?
Okay.
Which is a very liberal and a very, and I'm not going to say that the United Arab Emirates is a right-wing conservative. They are conservative,
Okay.
especially in their views on life. But I
Yeah.
also think they don't want their kids to be
Right.
as free-spirited.
Okay, that's fair. But why, specifically from the Muslim Brotherhood, right? Why are they scared of radicalization from them? Because I know that they are very leftist universities here in the UK, but their fear isn't from the left, it's more from the Muslim Brotherhood
From the
and the
right.
radicalization and indoctrination that's being taught on that side. Why I think that is? When you have, they're both Muslim.
Yeah, I mean, you can say anything's a Muslim organisation, right? Same way you can say anything's a Jewish organisation and a Christian
Yeah, that's very
organisation.
true.
Being a Muslim myself,
Yeah.
I don't particularly aspire to all of the...
Of course, 100%. Same way with me, and I'm Jewish. Same way with me. I agree. So you think they're just different sectors that disagree with each other?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't believe that the United Arab Emirates is in fear of their own political ties with whichever ties that they have.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, third question?
Yeah, third question.
Okay,
let's
so
go.
£50.
Sure.
Okay, our third question is, in the last 110 years, what are the top 5 largest genocides that have happened according to the number of people killed?
So we're going to say the Holocaust, of course.
that's one.
We are going to say Rwanda.
That's 2.
We are going to say, well, I've got an answer which may not be liked,
Okay.
but I'm going to obviously say, we've got what's going on in Palestine, which
Okay.
I'm not,
No, you can speak freely.
Yeah.
This is a tent where everyone speaks freely.
So what's going on in Palestine,
Okay.
I would call it genocide.
Fair.
And it has been going on for 75 years.
It's not in the 5 largest
Okay.
numbers, but we
Yeah,
can speak
fine.
about it
Yeah,
afterwards,
yeah,
okay? Do you have 3 more guesses?
3 more guesses. I've got two more guesses, but I don't know if they're in the last 110 years.
Okay.
Oh,
Shoot.
Serbia and Bosnia.
That's not one of them.
No? Really?
Yeah.
I don't have the others.
Okay. It is Ukraine, Rwanda, and Cambodia.
Okay, fine.
Okay. All of those genocides, between 1 million and 11 million people
Oh, wow,
were
okay.
killed,
Yeah, yeah.
right? why did you categorize Gaza as one of those genocides?
Well, again, if I'm being honest with you, just a lack of knowledge on how many people are killed compared to those other ones, right?
Do you know
I
how
think
many
it was a
people are
lack
being
of-
killed in Gaza?
So in fact, right now, I know that the Israeli army has agreed to the
they just came out
to the
and said that.
Palestinian
Right,
Authority
70,000.
70,000 plus.
Right.
But again, that's also not an accurate answer, I would say,
Why not?
because there's a lot of people hidden under the rubble.
Okay.
So, and that's a lot of people
Okay.
hidden on. There's a lot of rubble out there. I don't know if you've seen the
There is a
photos
lot of
recently.
rubble. There is a lot of
yeah,
rubble.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
stop. We've seen that 68.34% of you who watch our videos don't subscribe to our channel.
If you enjoy open dialogue just like this, subscribe now.
Now back to the video. I would say that Hamas, right, their goal in running the health ministry of Gaza would be to boost the numbers as much as they can in order to gain the world support. I mean, at the end of the day, they're the governing body of Gaza and they would want the world support. So don't you think it would be in their strategic advantage to say more than
well,
and not 70,000?
now we're
And
going to
also
get
they-
into it. We're going to
and
get
also
into
they-
an interesting
They don't
conversation.
include. We can chat. This is what it is. We promote
of
open
course.
dialogue. That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what we
of
do.
course. And that's exactly what we need at this point
Exactly.
in time. We need people to be honest with each other
Exactly,
and have
exactly.
Yeah. The way that I personally see it is because the numbers that are being given, yes, you could say that they're coming from Hamas, but they're not just coming from Hamas.
Okay.
They're coming from the WHO. They're
Right.
coming from
But they're
Amnesty
all
International.
getting their information from the Gaza Health Ministry,
Okay.
which is Hamas.
But in previous, we're
Yeah,
in
but we're
history.
talking about this
in
war
history,
right now.
The Israeli government has always tended to, agree to those to those same numbers that the Gaza Health Ministry has always come up
So
with.
that's why they've agreed to the 70,000
Yeah.
number. But in saying that, 25,000, which the IDF has come out and said, have been Hamas fighters, or as we classify them, Hamas terrorists.
Okay.
Right? That would make the ratio of civilians to combatants in Gaza a 2-to-1 or 2.5
But
to 1.
where's the evidence for that?
For what?
For the fact that it's 25,000 fighters.
Where's the evidence about the 70,000?
I mean,
And I'm sure there is
you've got
evidence.
2 million people packed into a very
100%.
small
It's
space,
very
right?
condensed. Yeah.
Any bomb you drop is going to hit a large number of people. Correct? Yes or no?
Correct, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you know how much bombs have been dropped? How many bombs have been dropped on Gaza? It's a lot, right?
It's a lot, yeah.
Over 80% of the buildings
Yeah.
have been destroyed, correct? Why is it that not more people have been killed then? Why is it that we're only
Because
seeing
this is
the
what-
70,000?
Because these are 70,000 confirmed. Like
Okay.
I said to you before, there are a lot of people under the rubble that people are forgetting about.
I'd say to that then we should have reports about that. I mean, if a family
The
member...
problem is though is that Israel doesn't let anybody
No.
into Gaza.
No,
Why are
but
there
if
no
a- if- if
Why are
a
there no
family
international
member-
journalists allowed inside?
Because
Why
it's
is
a
there-
war zone.
I'm assuming you're Israeli.
Yes,
you're
I've been-
Israeli,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Why is there no British journalists?
Douglas
allowed?
Murray's been.
Douglas Murray is very much a very pro-Israel.
He is very
character.
pro-Israel, he's still
Why
British.
is there nobody that's pro-Gaza allowed?
That's true. Why hasn't Hamas let anyone in? Even Egypt let anyone in.
Yeah,
Why
like,
hasn't Egypt?
because Israel has control of the border.
No, the Egyptian border, Egypt has control of it. Not only does Egypt have control of the Egyptian border, they've barricaded the Egyptian border so no Palestinians can get out through the Egyptian side.
Fine, and again,
that's a problem.
That is down to their political ties with Israel. If I'm being honest with you,
Not
What we
only
know-
that,
what
they're
we know
also
and
scared
what
of radicalization from the Palestinians into Egypt. That's also true.
Okay, again, that's an opinion though. That's
The Egyptians have openly stated that they were afraid of the radicalization from the Muslim Brotherhood.
That's an opinion from the again,
Egyptians.
that's an opinion from the Egyptians. Because
Right, I
again,
mean, that's the
until
Egyptian
that
stance.
happens, how do you know?
What?
If you don't let the Palestinians in, how do you know they're going to radicalize?
Well, Jordan, that's one. Look what happened in Jordan when the Jordanians let the Palestinians in. They tried to overthrow the king. And that was a huge problem. And then they pushed them into Lebanon. What happened in Lebanon? Hezbollah was created. And now they've destroyed Lebanon. So there's a constant theme, and I think the Egyptians can track that and say that they don't want the Palestinians to come in because of radicalization. And history has shown that. And unfortunately, we've gotten to the point where October 7th happened, and it's just become so radicalized that there's no way to find a diplomatic way to get peace without violence.
You're coming at it from a very one-sided point of view.
Tell me why.
The reason why is because I'm going to say, yes, October 7th happened, but what about Operation Glass Ceiling? And
Okay.
all of these operations have
Yeah.
happened in the 10th, since
Yeah.
2005, since
100%.
Israel
100%.
withdrew. Do those not count as, acts? So it's acts of terrorism if Gaza do it, but not the other way around. Is that
It's in response, in retaliation. again, like the IDF is really defense forces
If I was to
for
come
a
to-
reason.
If I was to come to your house,
Yes.
and I was to post up in your living
Sure.
room, and I was to say, no, I'm not leaving.
Is this a reference?
you-
Wait, are we referencing 1948? What are we
No,
referencing here?
What I'm referencing
I need to
here is-
understand the
what I'm
context in
referencing-
this metaphor.
What I'm referencing here is general oppression. If
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I was to oppress you, if I was to to bother you to the point where you can no longer stand it,
Okay.
would you not retaliate to that?
Where I can no longer stand where? Because in 2005, Israel withdrew from Gaza and said to them, create a prosperous
I'm not talking about Israel.
society.
I'm not talking about Israel and Gaza right now. I'm
Right.
talking about me and you.
This
right?
metaphor is going to tie back to Israel and
Yeah,
Gaza.
of course it is. Of
Okay.
course it is. But let's finish this.
Carry on.
If I was, let's say I was to step on your foot, right?
Okay.
You've got brand new, beautiful shoes on,
Thank you, I
right?
appreciate that.
I've got dirty.
He doesn't
got
like
dirty
them, I appreciate
dirty
that.
soles on my foot, right?
Yeah.
But if I was to stand on the bottom,
Right.
top of your foot,
I'd
and I
move
was
my
just
foot.
and you'd move your foot, but I was to do it again.
I'd move my foot
I
again.
would do it again.
I'd move my foot again.
You'd keep moving.
I'd keep
yeah?
moving my
What
foot.
if I made sure that you weren't able to move your foot, and I did it really, really hard? At what point would you turn your face and just say, not gonna do anything?
Yeah, I'd walk away.
But I'm
I'm not a violent person.
No.
So,
it's
sir-
not about violence.
Someone, for me personally, if you're asking my personal take, someone can bother me as much. I would never throw a first punch. I would never hit someone without it being warranted. Okay. So no, like answering your question, I would try avoid violence no matter the situation. That's just my stance as a person.
I do think that's your stance, not being in this situation, though.
Not being in this
Not
situation?
being in this
Well,
situation.
if I was
think
in this
human-
situation-
but human, a human reaction would indicate that you would react to.
Well,
it,
it depends on the human. I guess that's subjective to the human. Are we referencing 1948?
Yes.
That was the reference of the Nakba. I'm
Yes,
guessing.
exactly.
Okay, there's so much to cover, and we have a limited amount of time. I just know where that will go, and it will be us going back and forth about the Nakba,
100%.
who was right,
Yeah,
who was
yeah.
wrong. I don't think we should do that.
you know what, though?
I just want to know from you a solution, right?
What the solution?
What do you see the day after looking like?
We believe in the same God.
I agree,
Right?
yeah.
Now our belief systems and everything it's different,
different.
slightly.
Yeah.
It is different. It doesn't even differ slightly. It's different.
different, yeah.
Different, right? But at the same time, we both believe in, we call it qadr, yeah, which is the
Okay.
destiny, preordained destiny,
Yes.
right? Wherever is happening is preordained destiny.
Yes.
Now, what the solution looks like, I actually don't know, because you know what? In my belief,
Yeah.
only God knows that.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
And that's exactly how I would
I
leave
get
it.
that take. I get that take.
But what my preferred or what
Yeah.
I would like to see is a two-state solution.
I hear that,
But with,
I hope
with
one day.
with the Palestinians having their own,
Yes, yes.
if it can come to a
I mean, it's tried in the past. 2005, they did withdraw.
But then you need to remember, Hamas was,
Democratically elected by the Gazans.
yeah. But you need to remember, if you look at you're democratically elected by the Gazans, right? But look at if you really boil down the numbers, can't remember the numbers exactly.
Okay.
But all in all, 8% of the Gazan population are actually who came out to vote. And
You're saying back then?
yes.
I'm not sure if that's 100% true. I'll have to look at that.
No. It's obviously the figures are different, but if you boil it down.
Okay.
So do remember at that time, obviously the birth rate.
Are you talking about today?
No.
Today's people are very different to the people of yesterday. I agree, right? That being said, after October 7th happened, the polls show that 85% of Gazans supported the actions of Hamas on October 7th, okay? Which means they support their governing body, okay? That shows me that the people of Gaza support the people that are governing them, okay? I don't think that any reasonable solution can come to play with actions like October 7th.
Then we can say the same thing about the last, was it nearly just over 2 years?
The last 2 years was a reaction to that after
You can't-
251 hostages.
2
were
years
taken.
of reaction is a lot, right?
I mean, we can tie this back to the Nazis, how we bombed the shit out of Dresden and how we had to free Europe from the Nazis. I agree.
we could go back and forth, right?
We can.
But-
I know.
And I do have to go now, but
Adam, this was a great
it
conversation.
was a great conversation. I
Thank
wish
you so
it could
much.
be much
I
longer.
appreciate you sitting down
No,
with me and
no,
having
no.
this.
It's been a pleasure,
Can I take your
guys.
microphone?
No,
Sorry.
no, I want to take this with me.
That was a great conversation.
That was a great conversation. If you enjoy great conversation just like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel now.
Let's do something.